we got to the bit in the Ramayana where they're already in the forest and Jayant had tested Ramchandraji. And we see that his compassion is that even though Jayant had done something so horrible, he forgives. If we sincerely surrender, that's the important thing. If we sincerely surrender, Ramchandraji forgives. But what's in our heart is important. When we, so all of us make mistakes. And sometimes desire gets the better of us, or delusion gets the better of us, anger gets the better of us. So all of us make mistakes. But that understanding that comes from it afterward, that is what creates the sincerity, which then creates change. If we don't change, then it's like if the understanding hasn't changed and if the behavior hasn't changed, the act hasn't served its purpose. Interesting, this idea of Bhagwan forgiving, because he never judges to start with, because the actions have consequences and we face the consequences of our action. So it's not that Bhagwan doesn't forgive. That's why I think that wasn't sitting right with me to say that. But in terms of forgiveness works, not because Bhagwan forgives us. Forgiveness works when we change as a result of seeing the consequences of what we're doing. Right? So we do something and it hurts other people. And in this case, Jayant hurt Sita ji, right? And if I'm just sorry and I don't want the consequences of having done that action, then forgiveness doesn't really, not that Bhagwan doesn't forgive, but it doesn't happen. Because what I'm trying to do is get away from the consequences of the action. Like I'm only sorry because I don't want to deal with the consequences. But if there is genuine understanding that I have hurt, and that even intentional, unintentional, that this pain that I have caused is because of my whatever, my selfishness, my desire, my ignorance. And I can genuinely see how horrible that pain is. And I no longer want to be responsible for creating such pain. Then what happens is that shift in our personality helps us to actually grow. That change helps us to be more divine. Because we'll see even here now, right? So this incident that's going to come up, the next big incident that comes up in the Ramayana, Surpanaka. And there's a whole ripple effect. Maybe I shouldn't jump ahead to Surpanaka. I should go next step in the Ramayana. Jayant is forgiven. But forgiveness is an interesting thing because another person can forgive us and we don't change at all. Right? Like parents forgive their kids and kid stays badmash, spoiled brat. It has to be a seeing and recognizing how horrible pain is. I need to see and recognize how horrible the pain I caused is. And then the desire not to do that. So Jayan genuinely realizes he's mucked up. And so that sense of forgiveness. And here when personify Bhagwan as being the one that forgives us. It's very hard to forgive ourselves sometimes. It's harder to forgive ourselves than it is to forgive someone else. And so the idea that Bhagwan has forgiven us is very reassuring. It's like it's something to hold on to. So they're in the forest and they now want to leave Tanaka because too close to Ayodhya. And then they head over to Panchavati. And en route, there's this meeting with Rishi Aitreya. And then there's a meeting with Saranga Rishi, which is also very sweet. And there's this question that Ramji proposes, So there's while he's walking, Ramchandraji sees this humongous heaps of bones. And then it's told to him that these are all the rishis that have been killed by the asuras. And so there's this anger in Ramchandraji that the purpose of this avatar was to rid the world of this injustice that is stopping all the rishis from being able to practice. And then here's this pile of bones that he's seeing are made of the rishis that have been attacked. And so he takes this vow to eliminate all the asuras in the forest. And so he goes to Rishi Saranga and says, teach me the mantra by which I can accomplish this. And we'll see this happen every time Ramchandraji meets a Rishi. And I don't think I've done it yet, because I'm not going to do it every time they meet, but he does it every time they meet, and the Rishis do it every time they meet. So Ramchandraji will act like this total normal human saying, please help me learn a mantra. And the Rishi is, but you are Bhagwan. Like, why are you asking me? This is like very embarrassing, Are you testing me that you are asking me because you are more supreme and from you all knowledge comes, and how can I tell you anything? And then Ramchandraji is like, please guide me. And then the Rishi is like, why? I'm a little bit over dramatizing it. And the idea is, and then when this first happened, there's this understanding that Bhagwan doesn't want to take the credit for the knowledge that's given. And so he knows all the answers for everything, but he'll always ask the Rishi the question and let the Rishi answer so that the Rishi gets the credit for the knowledge being passed down. And that's twofold. It's his humility, and he's playing the role of a prince and not a guru. So he's following the role of a student in a grahastha and giving that due respect. But also when we say that Bhagwan protects dharma, and when we say the purpose of the avatar was here to re-establish dharma, one person can't do it. Even we think of any great saint, like Swami Vivekananda ji went to the World Parliament of Religion, spoke in Chicago, and that one sentence of him transformed the view of Hinduism in America. Then he came back to India, and sure, he wrote a lot of books and he, taught a lot of people. But one person can only reach so many people. There's still people who wouldn't even know who Swami Vivekananda ji is. And so then he trained, right? So I think there were 12 of them. And then those 12 trained. And then it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going and it's ripple effect. That's why even Puja Gurudev wanted to create Sandipani. Because one Swami Chinmaya traveling around the world giving talks. And yes, it made a huge impact. But now there's 300 Swamis in the mission, teaching in 300 different ashrams and however many classes they do. Even in the laziest Swami, and only does one class a week. Reaching out to only 3 people. That's still something, right? 300 people, 300 Swamis teaching 3 people each. That's still a lot of people. But of course, there's some that are not so lazy, and there's some that do a lot more classes a week. And then you're reaching out to so many more people. And that is brahmacharis being trained every year. And then they have to practice how to speak. So they do the beginner's text, then whoever's the beginners can listen to them. And so it still keeps going, right? Today here we're doing Ramayana. even though the ashram is being renovated in somebody's house. Why? Because I'm here and I have to do class every week. So you all have to come and listen to me every week. And so satsang goes on. Even though Puja Gurudev left his body 30 years ago, the momentum of that action continues. One person can't ever. I mean, even though one person can be a tidal wave, there has to be ripple effects that continue to really reach every corner and really reach every person. And so, yeah, Ramchandraji making the rishis answer all his questions is just that. Right? There's not one master. There's so many masters. There's not just one person who knows everything. There's so many people who know, and so let it just keep going and let it just keep going. And we also don't say, no, Ram said, and that's that. I'm not going to take names, but we all know religions where they say this person said, and then that's that. Then you can't make any progress. You can't update. You can't adapt. And then you just stuck. But here, when there's so many masters, and then they adapt. And if you see the Ramayana, it's so versatile. Rap versions of the Ramayana, and there's ballets of the Ramayana. It's incredible how it's been, so that it can continue and so it can reach so many more people. I think one of the cutest renditions of the Ramayana I've heard is an older sibling who's about 8 years old, explaining the whole Ramayana to the 5-year-old brother. With such seriousness, he's telling the whole story, and he's learned it from someone who's taught him very well, because he explains even all the characters and tuk, 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 tuk. So it's on YouTube. It's very cool. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But means it keeps going. To be available to receive constantly from all great masters. Okay, so he asked, this meeting with Rishi Sharanga goes really well. And I want to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I did read this morning. I had lots of time this morning. I think I read like 25 pages. And then there's a satsang between them on the qualities of an asura and the qualities of the sun. And yeah, well, that was said, this is, yeah, good, I checked. Rishi Shrangpa is known as one of the Rama Bhaktas, and special attention is made for him because he had done so much tapas and sadhana that Indraji from the heavens himself came down to earth to escort him up to Brahmalok. This happens not often, but every now and then there's great saints and sages who are that great that the devatas come down to physically escort them. Like when it's like prime minister, or when it's like someone really important, then this little, shall I say, formality, ceremony is given. So it happened with even Santukara, that devatas came to escort. And just at that time, when he was going to go to Brahmaloka, and Brahmaloka would be the best of even the heavens, word arrives that Ramchandraji is in his area of the forest and he can meet Ramchandraji. And he tells Indra Devata, no, I don't want to go to Brahmaloka anymore. I'd rather stay here on heaven to meet Ramchandraji, because that's better than any heaven that you can ever take me to. Then Indraji says, but then now you'll never go to heaven again after this. So you see Ram and that's it, or you come with me to heaven. Maybe it was a test, because of course when you see Ramchandraji, he's not going to abandon you. And he said, I would happily not go to heaven as long as I get to see Ramchandraji, because that's the best heaven that they could possibly be. And this is also in Bhakti Shastra, where then when he meets Ramchandraji, he said, don't give me moksha. because I want to stay separate and I want to keep loving you. Don't make me one. That I think I have explained to you. That happens often in Bhakti Shastra. But as you all know, get moksha. Staying separate, then delusion can come and trick us at any point in time, and then no need. So then the next story is also very, 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 very sweet. There's 2-3 mini stories because they're in the forest. No, they'll meet one devotee, they meet another devotee. Then we'll get to the juicy bit. It is juicy. Finally, Ramayana will get little bit scandalous. So this before scandal stuff. This is all very kosher. Sutiksha is another very famous devotee of Agastya Muni. And so when the Shishya has finished studying, then we give the Guru Dakshina. Most of you are familiar, right? Because we follow that same tradition in Chinmaya mission. You've taken from the Guru and so you give something. And it used to be that you go to the Guru and you ask, what is it can I give you? If you don't have so much, then you don't ask. You just give whatever you have. But many often, like even in Krishna's case, like when you have lots of skills and you know that the Guru is quite sufficiently provided for, then you ask, what would you like? I want to give you, what would you like? We can understand the sentiment, right? We want to be able to give what they want, not that we give them and then they have to think what to do with it. So usually Guru will say, you practice the knowledge is enough for me, which is exactly what Agastya Rishi said. Practice the knowledge, that's good enough, Guru Dakshina for me. And really, that's the best Guru Dakshina we can give. Because when people see us practicing, then we become role models. And when people see us improving, when people see us being calm and equipoised, when people see our faith, when people see our bhakti, it's a reminder that faith can exist, bhakti can exist, discipline can exist. So it really is the best Guru Dakshina, and it's the Guru Dakshina it's unspoken. That's the Guru Dakshina everyone should give. And in addition to that, whatever else. So that's what Sutikshna says, but sure, I'm going to do that, but what else can I give you? And sometimes you have to be aware, like, if the Guru is busy with something, don't bug him that time. Or if the Guru is, even these things we have to say. Because sometimes people are just lost in their own world. Or they, in their excitement, they're not fully aware and sensitive. So Agastya Rishi got really annoyed because Sutiksha seemed to be very persistent. No, tell me, no, tell me, no, tell me. And he said, fine, you want to know what you can do for me? Bring Ram to this ashram, and if you can't, then don't show me your face till you can. Now, once Guru has said, now you have to listen. Don't show me your face is like, wow. Like, for somebody who's got, that connection and feels that love, not to be able to go is like torture. It's worst punishment possible. And Guru saying, don't show me your face. And what does he have to do before he can show his face? Bring Ram. Now nobody has control over that. Like, Ram is Bhagwan, you can't demand, Bhagwan, please come. Right? And rishis have meditated for years and years and years and years and years. And even then, whoever does get darshan of Ram, they would have meditated for years. But when they say that they got darshan, they'll say it's by Bhagwan's grace alone, not because they have done meditation and tapas. And so how to get Ram? By Bhagwan's grace alone. So now what does he do? And also you see the greatness of Agastya Rishi here. What is he forced as his Guru Dakshina? That the student becomes so pure that they can get darshan of Ram to be able to bring Ramchandraji to his ashram. Like this you see the love of Guru, even though he said it in a way that it's as though a scolding, it will only ever be a blessing. And so Satiksha does. He sits down some distance from the ashram, because Guru said, don't show me your face. So he has to be some distance away. And he sits in meditation. And he's very cute. Like there's so many devotees, but he's a little bit cute in the sense that he'd get lost in Sri Ram, Jai Ram, and he'll be so lost in doing the japa of Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. But suddenly he's like dancing away. Like he's literally standing up and in his own world, just dancing away, not even like oblivious to the world around. In only other person where we've heard that they go into this, like, I mean, sometimes people say this one goes into a trance-like state. And not too many people do, but it's this like so lost in love. It's not like the mystical power, trance-like state. It's like just so lost in my own love that the rest of the world stops to exist. And then Sri Paramahamsa Ji used to do this also. He would be doing Archana and 1,000 names of whichever Bhagwan. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji used to do it for the Kalima. But 1,000 names takes quite a while, huh? Takes like 45 minutes, at least. That's true if you're doing it fast and if you have it memorized. If you have to read, then it's going to take longer. So, but Paramahamsa Ji now memorized everything in his mind, and he's offering Namaha, Namaha. And he's so lost in the thought of giving the flowers to Kali, and he goes into this wonderful state where everything else disappears and he doesn't know which way is Kali, to the left or to the right or to the back or to the front. And then after a while, he's taking the flowers and he's putting it on himself. Because cannot see anywhere where Kali is not. So in his head, he's still offering the flowers to Mata Kali. But in reality, if somebody is watching him, he's taking the flowers and he's putting them on himself, which looks sacrilege, like how dare you. But if you understand that he is so lost in the feeling of only Mother Kali exists and nothing else exists, then that gives you a whole different feeling. So in the same way, Satiksha would get so lost that only Ram and Ramchandra Ji exist and nothing else exists, that the world doesn't exist. And so he's happily dancing away to this chanting of Ramchandra Ji's name. The Ramchandra Ji knows our heart, and so he decides he will go to Satiksha and give darshan. And Satiksha heard also that Ramchandra Ji is now in the forest, and he's in this part of the world. Because Rishi Agastya would have said this years and years and years ago. Ramchandra was probably just born in Ayodhya at the time. He's been meditating this whole time. Ramchandra Ji had to grow up, KKG had to come and exile him, and then all that Natak had to happen. So Tiksha doesn't know he's still meditating there in the forest. But now rumors and word has gone from ashram to ashram that Ramchandra Ji is now here in the forest. And he gets so excited. Ramchandra Ji is in the forest, Ramchandra Ji is in the forest. There's hope. I will be able to see him. I'll be able to take him to, and then I'll get to see my guru finally after. And he won't say, why are you showing me your face? Because I'll say, ha ha. You said don't show face only till, and guess what? So he's planned everything in his head, and he's so excited that he's going to be able to see his guru again, and he's going to see Ramchandra Ji, and again he starts dancing. And he's so lost in the world, in his reveling of that Ramchandra Ji is going to come. He doesn't realize Ramchandra Ji is already come. And Ramchandra Ji is already standing there, watching him dancing away. And he's still not realizing that Ramchandra Ji is there. And in Tulsi Ramayana, it is saying that Ramchandra Ji initially thinks, he might see me and then he might break his spell. So Ramchandra Ji hides behind the tree and is watching him until Ramchandra Ji realizes it doesn't make any difference whether I'm behind the tree or not behind the tree. He's happily lost in his own world. And then Ramchandra Ji says, okay, enough now of his dancing. We have to make progress. There's have to go to the ashram, so many other ashrams en route. We have to get to Panchavati. So Ramchandra Ji manifests in his heart. And then from this dancing and all this rejoicing, there's the sudden, he just sits down very still, like stabda. Stabda is literally like a stone. He becomes so incredibly still because suddenly he can feel Ramchandraji's presence in his heart, and it's not him, it's actually Ramchandraji. And so it's so much that he's just frozen. He's just frozen by the sense of that overwhelming sense of presence of Ramchandraji and that gratitude and that reverence and that love and that experience of it. And then he's just not moving. And then even this is startling from that so much moving and dancing and excitement to this extreme stillness that he has gone into. And so he had trained his mind. It's playful and childlike, but he had trained his mind in absolute stillness to be able to meditate. And then Bhagavan is thinking now how to make him get up. At least when he was dancing, but now he's so lost and still in the meditation, and it's even harder. So he shows himself in Vishnu's form, Shankar Chakra Gada Padma. And Sutikshna was such a Ram devotee that any other form was offensive to him. And so he literally jumps out of the seat of where did this Vishnu come from? What's Vishnu doing in my heart? Because he loves Ram and it's like, how dare Vishnu? And now that he's up and his eyes are open, he sees that Ramchandra is actually standing. And I explained this to y'all before, the Dandavat pranams. They fall like a stick. Sometimes you see even in the ashram when they come to the altar, slowly they go because different ages, or sometimes even these really young kids, wait, Swamiji, and then slowly get down slowly. Because even our youngsters now have so many aches and pains. And then they'll come up with I'm sore from the gym this morning. And I feel like, did I tell you to bow down for so long? Dandavat is they fall. Literally just fall. Like if you're holding a stick and if you let go of the stick, the way the stick falls, they fall. Dandavat pranams. They fall at Bhagwan's feet. Like 0 second. Fall at Bhagwan's feet. So Tikshna, the minute he sees Ramchandraji like this, and then fall at Ramchandraji's feet. And Ramchandraji smiling. And then Ramchandraji knows everything, He knows that the Guru has given him this instruction. And so Tikshna's, there's so many nice ashrams in this area. Why don't I show you some of these ashrams? He's not saying, my Guru has asked me to bring you, please come with me. No. That's why I said Satikshna is very cute. Like, let's go, there's some interesting ashrams. Let's go to this ashram. And then he does run ahead. And he does. Agastya Rishi looks at him and says, what are you doing here? And he said, quickly, Guruji, Ramchandraji's here. And then even Agastya's meeting with Ramchandraji is so incredibly beautiful. And they say that when Ramchandraji comes to the ashram, then just all the Santa Mahatma just sitting around looking at him. And Ramchandraji is just very quietly until some satsang. Always in all the ashram, there is some satsang that gets discussed. And here it's the techniques, different sadhanas that can be done. And Agastya Muni sings praises of Ramchandraji. Sometimes the rishis, they say, how can we possibly praise you? But some of them compose these beautiful compositions of praising Ramchandraji. So, and actually that's where here in the, no, not yet, just straight after this. They get to Panchavati. And Panchavati is very significant because the minute when they get to Panchavati, the description says that the minute Bhagavan settles in Panchavati, all the flowers start blooming and the plants become more lush. Animals now start to live in harmony with each other because of the presence of Bhagwan. And similar descriptions are given in the Bible too, where they say a lamb and a lion sit together. So here too, you see animals that would normally be predators in Panchavati wouldn't be predators. Would live very harmoniously with all the other creatures. And how do they survive? Well, must be Bhagwan's grace. Something must be happening for them to be able to survive. And while one day, so Panchavati gets set up, the hut gets set up, Sita ji and Ramchandraji would stay in the hut, Lakshman would stay outside guarding. All of that happens. You must remember the story, even time would have taken so long, but nothing much added to the value of the story. So till they get to a point that in one day when Ramchandraji is sitting very silently, Lakshman goes and says, "May I ask some questions?" And this is the Sri Ram Gita, which Gurudev takes as a separate text. And so actually, we'll do that. We'll do it as a proper separate text rather than rush through it here. But you'll have to remind me. Okay, so now comes this interesting bit. So after the Ram Gita is taught, and there's this very peaceful section, some years go by, very, very, very peacefully. We find that one day Surpanaka is walking in the forest. So Surpanaka is, the name Surpanaka means long nails. Whose nails were like, you know, when you, in the old days, they used to have those straw, they used to clean rice in it. What were they called? Shurpanas. So her nails were like that. So she was described by the length of her nails. And so in ashram culture, if you are called a Shurpanaka, just FYI, it's an insult. In Hong Kong, Shurpanas are very admired. Because, you know, Hong Kong is like Lanka. But this is an interesting fact, and I have said it before, maybe not in this class. In the Bhagavatam, there's telltale signs of which yuga it is. So in Satyug, where people are pure and our intelligence is at its highest, our lifespan is very long, and our hearts are selfless, we see beauty in everything. Eyes. When somebody is described as beautiful, it's their eyes, but more their character. So they would say, she's such a beautiful person, so kind. He's such a beautiful person, he's so compassionate. It didn't have to do with physical appearances. But they did describe physical beauty as well, and it would be eyes. And then we know this, eyes are windows to our soul. And then Treta Yuga comes along, and beauty becomes, I can't remember, Dwapar Yuga, beauty becomes definitely more physical. By Dwapar Yuga, they were describing body parts, the six packs and the curves. And even in Mahabharata, we read when Draupadi's description was given, lots of attention given to where all the curves were. When Arjuna's description is given, how chiseled the body is. In Kali Yuga, how do we define beauty? Kali Yuga is the worst, huh? Nails and hair. person is considered beautiful based on their hair and their nails. We can see it, right? How much emphasis we give today to hair and nails. What's curious about this is that these are two parts of the body that are dead. Our nails are dead. And our hair is dead. In fact, when a person dies, their nails and hair continue to grow. Because it's already dead. What's the sign of beauty in Kali Yuga? Things that are already dead. It's already telltale sign. Huh? Where do we see beauty? When we are attracted to a person. Where do we see beauty? We socially conditioned to a large extent. We do get socially conditioned to a large extent. And it's not a criticism as all. In fact, sometimes when I see their nails, I think, wow, very artistically done. Would have taken like a solid 3 hours. So beautifully coordinated and colored, and so it's not a criticism, but it's where we see beauty or how we choose to beautify ourselves. Like sometimes I'll be staying in the ashram, and ashram culture is so different to Hong Kong culture. Every time, and I've gotten used to going in and getting out. Because I'll go into the ashram and I'll be with somebody and they'll be like, oh, I almost left the room without wearing my bindi. It's like, I would feel naked. Like they're horrified. They're horrified that they're not wearing their bindi. And of course, in Hong Kong, who will ever wear a bindi? And bindi isn't that fashion bindi, huh? It's they put chandan or they put vibhuti and kumkum as a sign of I've done my puja for the day. Yeah. Like I said, I've gotten used to ashram, Hong Kong, ashram, Hong Kong. Satya Yuga, Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga. Surpanaka makes herself look beautiful. So this line is in every Ramayana. Makes herself look beautiful. And the description given is long hair and the swinging of how she walks. And then the dress. So Surpanaka comes to Ramchandraji. She's walking in the forest. She sees him and she's besotted. Highly, highly infatuated. Now, lots of women did get highly infatuated looking at Ramchandra. First, he was extremely good looking. Whenever Bhagwan comes to earth, he's extremely good looking. She's extremely good looking. Most of us value it. Most of us are attracted. And so, in different ways. Some will say, wow, and let it be. Some will want. Some will think in their head. Some will actually act. Shurpan is the type of person who acts. So she goes. And in Rakshasa culture, this is also interesting. Who is a Rakshasa? Who isn't a Rakshasa? In Rakshasa culture, there wasn't the sense of, what's it called? Oh my God, monogamy? It doesn't exist. But it's not something that's valued in Rakshasa culture. So she goes to Ramchandraji and she proposes. Even the way she proposes, different people will dramatize it. That's why I said this is the juicy bit of the Ramayana. To the effect of, you are so handsome and I am so beautiful. We meant to be together. It's literally the dialogue she uses. Right. what they call today pickup line. This is her pickup line. That you are so handsome and I'm so beautiful, we make a good match. And so it's obvious. Come, let's go. She's very forthcoming. Mhm. There's zero shyness in what the come, let's go to do is. There's no subtlety. It's very clear what she wants. Ramchandraji is slightly amused. But by and large, things, there's no time for this. I have no time for this. And so, very politely says, I am married. This is my wife Sita. And Sitaji's sitting there when she marred this whole dialogue. Sitaji's also watching her. And then Ramchandraji points to Sitaji and says, I'm married. My wife is right here. And you surely are very good looking. So why don't you try my brother Lakshman, who's as good looking as me, and he's not tied to anyone. He's here alone. Actually, that's very cheeky of Ramchandra. Because there's no way Lakshman would be interested. Lakshman's so single-pointedly there to serve Ramchandra. Plus, Lakshman is the same as Ramchandra. He's very loyal to his wife. Even though Urmila wasn't there, she's in the palace, he wasn't going to. So, not sure why Ramchandra did this. I've been reflecting. Why would Ramchandra do this? So, if you listen to Swamiji's version of the Ramayana, he will say, chum, 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 chum. She walked from Ramchandraji to Lakshman. And again, proposes. You are handsome. I am beautiful. There's no reason we should be together. And since he's got a wife and you are free, Lakshman looks at Ramchandraji, thinks, what are you up to? If you want to play this game, I'll play. So Lakshman says, you are beautiful. Surely you wouldn't want to be with a servant. Someone as beautiful as you should be with the master, not the servant. I'm a mere servant here. My brother is the heir to the throne and he is the master and I'm doing his chores for him. You deserve Ramchandra. So off she goes back to Ramchandra. Again, she oppositions. Ramchandraji again tries to find some excuse and say her back to Lakshman. She actually goes back and forth. Until she decides, or she realizes rather, they're messing with her. And then she looks at Sitaji and says, this is your fault. They both rejecting me because you are sitting, which is true for Ramchandra. And so she goes to attack Sitaji. And so all the disguise wears off and the nails come out and teeth come out and she's about to attack Sitaji. And Lakshman from the roof sends arrows and cuts off her nose and cuts off her ears so that she cannot attack Sitaji. With her nose and ears cut, she goes screaming back to her brothers, Garandushan, who are in the forest. Garandushan and Surpanaka are first cousins to Raga. And they have been posted here in the forest to kill the rishis. So this incident then becomes a, what's the word? Precipice to the rest of the Ramayana. because Surpanaka now is rejected and hurt and angry, and she wants revenge. And so she goes to Ravana and tells Ravana, I've seen the most beautiful woman on this earth, and you deserve to have her. And that's how everything starts, right? Everything starts because of this incident. Shurpana coming, propositioning Ramchandraji and Lakshman, and getting rejected, essentially. So I'll do the spiritual significance first, but then we can talk about this for a bit. Surpanaka represents our mind that is fickle. So she wants Ram, then she wants Lakshman, then she wants Ram, then she wants Lakshman, then she wants Ram, then she wants Lakshman. And then she can't get what she wants and she attacks. And that's our mind too, right? And sometimes it's I want Ram, and I want something in the world. I want Ram, I want something in the world. I want Ram, I want something in the world. But more often than not, our mind is not I want Ram. Our mind is I want something, shoes, bag, house, job, person. And I also want something else. To look a certain way, to do something, to travel. I want this, then I want this, then I want this, then I want this. And our mind keeps doing this. Our mind keeps oscillating between what it wants. Or it goes from, I want to do this, no, I don't want to do it. I want to do it, I don't want to do it. I don't. And that's what Surpanaka represents. She represents this mind that can't make up its mind. And so often our minds are like that. It's not made. It's not steady. It's not decisive. It's what in Sanskrit it's called Viksha. No, not Viksha. Yeah. Starts with the Vikalpa. Thank you. This oscillating mind is called Vikalpa. And such a mind, the only way to bring it to steadiness and discipline is to cut it off from the senses wandering. So that's why it doesn't stay still. The eye sees something, then it goes there. The ears hear something, and then it goes there. We eat something, and then we're thinking about that. So close all the senses is closing all the inputs that make the mind get distracted. So when we sit in meditation, close eyes, right? We're not eating anything, but we can't close the ears or close the nose. And so Lakshman cutting off the nose and the ears is as though blocking the input from those two senses. And so when the mind is very fickle, when the mind is very restless, withdraw all the senses is the symbolism of this incident. Right? And that's specifically why eye, nose, and ears are cut, because those are the two organs that can't be closed. So we have to cut our focus on them, which we do. Right? When we're totally engrossed in a movie and somebody is talking to us, we don't hear them. We cut. So, of course, in meditation, we want to hear. What do they say? But that's when we should cut. You don't hear. It shouldn't register. It shouldn't come in. And so too with smells. Smells can also be very distracting. Interesting thing about smell is that it's very linked to our memory. And so it usually triggers up some kind of memory, association of thought. So cut. Don't pay any attention to that. And so why did Ramchandraji and Lakshman send her back and forth? Because this mind that is fickle won't stay still anyways. and it's not serious. So not to give it that kind of attention. Yeah. But now if you go back to the story of the Ramayana, it's interesting how villains are born. Now when you see plays or theater today, then very often you'll have the main story, and then now they've done remakes of stories explaining how the villain became a villain. One of those is that Maleficent, right? So what's that? Sleeping Beauty. That was this fairy tale? Yeah. The fairy tale is Sleeping Beauty. And then how did this woman come to curse? They give her whole backstory. And then when you watch the Maleficent movie, you think, she's only a villain from this point of view. If you see it from this point of view, she's been hurt. And so here you see, in the story of the Ramayana, Surpanaka is the villain. So she goes and plants the thought in Ramchandraji's mind to kidnap Sita. But only hurt people hurt. She feels rejected. I'm not making any excuses for sure. Just because we hurt doesn't give us the right to hurt. But interesting in our lives, who's the villain in your life? How did you hurt? Isn't it interesting? We create the villains. Not always. Often. Often we hurt them. Knowing, unknowing. We do lots of things unknowing. We hurt lots of people unknowingly. Because we're so lost in our own thinking. I want, I did, I think, I feel. And so sometimes it's nice to think about it. Surpanaka really, nothing will justify what she did. Nothing justifies what she did. She's still villain. Why would Ramchandraji reject? When we have seen that he is so compassionate, when he can forgive Jaya, when he forgives even Ravana, why would he reject Surpanaka? Because she doesn't want him. He wanted just pleasure. She didn't want him. In the Ramayana, he doesn't give in to that at all. Just not entertained at all. In the Ramayana, the bar is very high. There's zero tolerance for indulgence. Because remember, it's Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga minds are very strong. The sense of morality is very high. And so it was not entertained. Lust is just not entertained. So, but we do see that one of the forms of loving Bhagwan is that kind of romantic relationship with Bhagwan. Like the way Radha loves Krishna. And Bhagwan will accept that. but he never accepts jealousy. And so Surpanaka, if that was her desire, even for him, the desire was to be able to enjoy him that way. He has accepted in Krishna avatar, not in Rama avatar, but in Krishna avatar he accepts. But jealousy, at no point will he accept. So the minute she became jealous of Sita and tried to attack Sita, then Lakshman acted straight away. And so the whole incident, like I said, it's the most scandalous part of the Ramayana. After this, nothing scandalous happens. Before this, nothing scandalous happens. This is the only scene in the Ramayana that's scandalous. And it's such an interesting experience. And here, it's almost like Bhagwan is testing. Like when he said, go to Lakshman, test. Do you really want me? Now this you will see, even in your own life. When our devotion starts growing, just then career opportunities open. Just then some relationship appears. Just then something magnificent will happen worldly wise. He is tested. Rather than, in Bhakti Shastra, we talk about Bhagwan as very personable and he is testing. But remember, from a Vedantic point of view, there's no person and he's not testing. It's such a fascinating thing from a Vedantic point of view to understand what happens. From Bhakti point of view, you're getting tested, pass. Passing means love Ram more than you love anything else. Don't get distracted from Ram. That's Bhakti point of view. From Vedantic point of view, the more we love Ram, the more we're thinking about Bhagwan, the purer our mind gets and the stronger our mind gets. The purer and the stronger our mind gets, we develop power. That power then attracts into our life all those things that we've desired. Isn't that fascinating? And so suddenly the mind's strong enough to manifest this dream job that I've always wanted, or this possible relationship that I was toying with, and now it's here. And so going after that takes energy away from the sadhana, and that strength that was there, that was being built up with momentum, gets lost. And so this is an interesting thing about the mind. Mind develops power, but it doesn't stay. Just like when we go to the gym and the body gets strong, if you don't go for a while, you lose that strength. With the mind too, when we're constantly thinking of Bhagwan, when we're constantly doing japa and sadhana, the mind will get very strong. And if we don't maintain the sadhana, the mind loses its strength. And so in Bhakti Shastra, it's like Bhagwan tested you and you failed. You went for the job. But actually what happens is you lose the momentum of the single-pointedness of the tapas, which was giving the mind strength, and so you lose the strength. From a Vedantic point of view, Bhagwan is very, very impartial. But Bhakti people don't like that. So they make him very personable and then you are getting tested. So Surpanaka got tested and she didn't pass. And so her nose and ears were cut off. Why? to help her to be more single-pointed. And so Bhagavan doesn't punish as such, although in Bhakti Shastra it will definitely be seen as a punishment. He, like a teacher, if you're not doing well, gives you what you need to be able to improve. So distraction taken away, so you can do what is needed for you to keep improving. So we'll reflect a little bit more on Surpanaka next week. And then we'll keep going in the story of the Ramayana. But any questions?
In the beginning, is it, I'd rather stay not in Brahmaloka.
That devotee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Brahmaloka, you feel.
Yeah, many people would choose Brahmaloka.
What exactly the difference if I'm in Brahmaloka, how I feel?
In Brahmaloka, there's no other thing to do except stay focused in satsang. There's no chance of the mind falling. When we stay here on earth, there's lots of chances of the mind getting distracted and the mind falling. Given the choice, choose Brahmaloka. Between Brahmaloka and Ram.
Yeah.
If you choose Ram, you won't be given a choice. If you actually choose Ram, you won't be given any. Choose moksha. Very good. Don't choose moksha. Brahmaloka. In Ramayana, they don't talk about moksha.
What's the highest?
In Ramayana, going to heaven. Brahmaloka. Ramayan's Bhakti Shastra. Which is beautiful. Bhakti Shastras are beautiful. Question? No. You don't have to ask. I'm okay if you don't ask.
When your mind is stronger, it's not and that's the distraction from making your mind stronger. What are you supposed to do? Just ignore the desires that you now have.
So when the mind gets stronger and you manifest your desires, are you supposed to ignore the desires? No. But don't let go of your sadhana. You might ignore the desire, you might choose to embrace it, but don't let go of the sadhana. Don't let go of the tapas. Yeah.
I was late, but I just wanted to ask, is there like a state where there's an equilibrium where you can be devoted to God, but also be able to manifest your desires and be able to balance both?
If you're wanting both, no.
I wouldn't say one. I was kind of thinking where you can come to a point of equilibrium, have both that is in
It's very tricky. If you want Bhagwan, mind will get strong. If you want desire, mind will also get strong, not in the same way. You can just manifest all your desires. We can do that without loving God. Can, Ravana did. You can get your mind strong without it. But there's always going to be a priority. There's just always going to be a priority. It's never 50-50. I love God and I love the world. There's always a priority. So, no, there's no state of equilibrium. We will always love one more. Because given the choice, we choose. All of us choose. Okay. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat prabhave, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma gamaya. Om Purnamata Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Shri Guru Hari Om.